This is Tony Cannuli, network marketing advocate and a contributing author and writer for the Network Marketing Magazine. And I have the great privilege today to do an interview with somebody that, there are favorites in the world and there are people you like, but there are some people that you really like and are really favorites. And this gentleman I have on today, we're doing a video interview. The Network Marketing Magazine's been around 11 years, and we just started doing that. I've been brought on to do this, to move forward with the magazine and help them create video and audio interviews. And I tell you, when I first accepted that challenge from George Madu, the founder of the Network Marketing Magazine, the first person that came to mind that I wanted to interview was this gentleman, Jordan Adler. And Jordan, I know you're on the hangout here with me. I am super excited. I'm going to share with everybody a little bit of your story. I believe that most of the people that will be watching this know of you or I've heard of your name before. And, when I first started thinking about this, I thought, Jordan Adler is the perfect guy. We got the magazine coming up. This issue in December is going to be an issue all on women in direct selling and network marketing. But of course, we've had some tremendous authors, Jordan, here on with the Network Marketing Magazine. We've had Dennis Waitley, Jim Rohn before he passed away, Dale Calvert. I mean, we've just an amazing number. I could go through it. There's probably over 50 different contributing authors and editors that have contributed to the magazine over the last, over a decade now, 11 years. And so this first, we're moving forward and adding video to this. And Jordan, I really appreciate you as a servant leader in the network marketing direct selling profession, coming on and sharing your story and sharing your time. You've always been somebody that I've respected. And I don't know if you remember this, but it just dawned on me here just a minute ago that we did an interview 5 years ago today,
wow, yeah.
Almost today.
Is that right?
With the MLMIA. I don't know if you remember that with when I was the vice president of the MLMIA. It was almost 5 years ago. I mean, it's time. Wow. You still look every bit as good as you ever did.
Well, the lighting is a little low, so maybe that's a little deceiving.
Well, we know just for the viewers out there, Jordan fit this in to his busy schedule. He's out on the Vegas Strip. The sun is going down. He's in a condo there. He fit it in. He's a very busy guy, but I really appreciate him doing this, and so you guys are going to love the value we get. And for those people that don't know much about Jordan's background, Jordan grew up in Chicago. He ended up in Phoenix, Arizona for over 30 years. He's been in Vegas now for the last 4 years. He's been a network marketing professional for, I guess it's been, 27, 28 years now?
Yeah.
And he's the #1 income earner, biggest distributor, not biggest, but the biggest organization, and send out cards. Got over 400,000 people in his organization, and a phenomenal company. He's what I consider to be the premier servant leader in our industry. He wrote a book called Beach Money. If you've not heard of Beach Money, you got to read that book. And 100% of the profits go to kiva.org, a nonprofit that he supports, constantly giving of himself, giving of his time, giving of his money. And I could go on and on. You got 2 years ago, you ended up, and I remember this, when you ended up getting your pilot's license. I was like, oh boy, you got some guts, man. And now, not pilot's license, but helicopter pilot.
Right.
So you fly helicopters. So you're quite the gentleman here. So I want you to share your story. I know we've got limited time, and I know you've got time, limited time in where you're at, but I just wanted everybody to hear the story really from you, Jordan. So once again, welcome to this unbelievably amazing, awesome video interview here with Jordan Adler.
Thank you, Tony, and thanks. It's an honor to be on the show, and I appreciate the invitation. And I got involved in network marketing. It's probably been close to 30 years now. I haven't actually calculated it out, but 1981, I was introduced to my first company, and I actually saw a classified ad. And I have a degree in landscape architecture, which I paid for through working through college. My mom and dad paid for 1 year of college for myself and my two sisters. And when I graduated with a degree in landscape architecture, I moved from Chicago to Arizona because there was a lot of building going on. And I was wired as an entrepreneur. Who knows why? Because I did not grow up in an entrepreneurial family at all, but started answering classified ads and getting involved in different opportunities that were in the newspaper. And I would sign up, talk to a few people. They would be negative. I didn't have any skills around this kind of business at all. And there weren't, at that time, there were, I think, just a couple of books, maybe 2 books written on the topic of network marketing. And today there's hundreds, of course. But I started getting my hands on anything I could and going to workshops and seminars. And, this is back in the, I was in my 20s. And so I didn't have a lot of money. My jobs were paying me between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. So when I got my first credit card, I maxed that out. And then I got a second credit card, I maxed that out. And then I got a third credit card and I maxed that out. Going to different network marketing, buying into different network marketing companies, buying products, attending seminars, traveling, those kinds of things. And after 10 years, 11 different companies, I had never signed up a single distributor, never made a penny. At the time, I had left the field of network marketing and joined the airline industry. And I got involved with a startup, very entrepreneurial airline that had one leased aircraft. And we grew to over 100 aircraft and $1 billion in sales, 15,000 employees. They never paid us much money, but I was in the mix of growing a very entrepreneurial enterprise with a group of people that were young and enthusiastic. And so we built this airline, and the airline filed bankruptcy in 1992. And at that point, I joined my 12th network marketing company, which was Excel. And at that point, they say when opportunity and preparation collide, that's when things really start to happen. And I'd been preparing for over 10 years for my entrepreneurial career. And then I connected with the right opportunity at the right time, and I was prepared, and my business took off. I learned a couple of simple things. I learned a 30-minute presentation, and I learned how to put appointments on my calendar. And I started doing lunch meetings at Coffee Plantation on Mill Avenue. And my goal was to do 3 appointments a week while I kept my job, and I did that. And over the course of the next 2 years, I signed up 19 people personally, of which my 16th was a lady named Jackie Ulmer. And Jackie signed up a woman in New Mexico named Judy Dubiel, who was a secretary and a student, and her husband was an airline pilot. Jackie's husband was an airline pilot as well. And Judy started doing meetings in her home, and over the next 3 years, her group grew to 12,000 distributors and 40,000 customers. And that's all I did was I met Jackie. I showed her the business. She got excited about it, signed up her friend in New Mexico. And then Judy and that team grew to 12,000 distributors and 40,000 customers, and my income skyrocketed. And I stayed with that company for 13 years and continued to sign up about 1 distributor a month. So over the course of 13 years, I signed up 129 people, which is a little less than 1 a month. And from those 129, I had 5 organizations that grew to over 85,000 distributors and 250,000 customers, and did very well with that company. And I was there for until there was a major shift in the telecom industry, and our product was telecom related, and the whole industry went from an analog industry to a digital industry, and it went away. So I went from making a whole bunch of money and having this fantastic lifestyle, traveling all over the world on private jets and staying in castles overseas, and just doing business all over the world. And it was an amazing life. And then it all went away in one day when the whole industry shifted. We went from a $1.5 billion network marketing company to a $300 million network marketing company in about 3 months. And so at that point, I was kind of back up in the market looking for what my next project was going to be. And I stumbled upon another company that I joined 13 years ago. I've been with that company now for 13 years and have grown a large business here doing the same thing, just sharing our opportunity and our product with people. And so much of my success in the business has been really built around learning a very simple 30-minute presentation that I do over and over and over again. And it's, that's part of your system, is having a presentation that you can do over and over and teach. And so that was the first thing. And the second thing was consistently get appointments on the calendar, figure out where you're going to meet people, and then get those appointments on the calendar, and then just do that for 2 to 3 years and start signing up people consistently, regularly, and teaching your team to do the same. That's how you build a big business. So and that's what I did in the last company, and I just repeated the same process here.
Well, it's such an awesome story, and there's a lot of complexities, and when you've put as many years in as you have or I have into this wonderful industry that we call network marketing, relationship marketing, I call it hope marketing, because quite frankly, Jordan's one of the few things in life that I think can give hope to anybody, because someone like myself who came from a construction background, and someone like yourself that have come from the background that you have been in, and your parents paid for 1 year of college, and you were, you were at one point living on credit card to credit card to credit card. I mean, what were your options? I mean, think about your options at that point. I mean, if unless most people say, unless you have money, what do? Well, you're not going to start a big business if you don't have capital. So network marketing is a great equalizer, and it allows you through two different concepts. Number one, the fact that anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can find or borrow or whatever a few $100s. And number two, you can have happen to you. It's not the lottery. I mean, Jordan paid the price and stayed there day in and day out, but like what happened with Jackie Elmer, who I've interviewed as well. She's an amazing, amazing leader in the industry. And like what happened to you, where you ended up with 40,000 customers, 12,000 distributors as a result of that 30-minute presentation, and obviously working with her beyond that point. So, when you think about what this industry has to offer, what this profession, Jordan, has to offer people, and the theme, of course, is women. And so we're going to talk, and I know you've got a few really super cool stories that we're going to talk about, but a couple of things that I wanted to hit on here was you were in 12 companies before you finally, like you said, the preparation kind of hit, opportunity hit all at the same time. That convergence happened. You went on to become very, very successful, but you had to go through an understanding, a belief system change. You had to go through becoming more. Jim Rohn always said it: if you want to have more, you have to become more. You went through that personal growth and personal development. So there's a major hint here for anybody that's paying attention, that no matter where you are today, in this moment, there's always tomorrow, the next day, the next day. If you continue to do a little bit every day, and you continue to learn a little bit, and you continue to apply a little bit, you will grow and grow and grow to the point where everything will fit together and everything will work for you, as long as you don't give up and as long as you don't quit. And so that's a huge lesson that Jordan's story is one of the best stories, I think, in network marketing, because, going through 12 companies and then finally finding something that not only has he hit it big, but I want you guys to think about this, put it in perspective. It's over 400,000 people in a phenomenal network marketing company. It's made millions and millions of dollars, touched literally hundreds of thousands of people's lives as a result of his experience. What if he had given up on the 11th company? What if on the 10th company he said, that's it, I'm done? What if that had happened? What a tragedy that would have been. And yet today, he is one of the brightest shining leaders in our space. I'm one of the most respected, successful, and I don't judge that based on the income he's made, but really I look at that and I say that proudly by the person he is and who he's become. And the reality is that anybody can do what he did if they were willing to do it. I mean, he doesn't have anything different than most people have, but, and we'll talk a little bit about that, Jordan. Maybe you can separate what you see the difference is between real winners that win and champions and ones that don't quite get there.
Sure. A couple things that come to mind. One is, and I hear people say this all the time, well, Jordan, why did you not quit? And the reality is the problem, Tony, was that I kept quitting. That was the problem. The problem wasn't that I wasn't quitting. I quit over and over and over again. Now, I was smart enough to get back into the business over and again. I don't know if it was smart enough or I was just like open, a lot of people get jaded. I don't typically get jaded. I mean, I might get jaded for a week or two, but then I let it go. But I would join a company and then I would quit that company. And that is not a great formula for success. You've got to pick a company that you're excited about, and you got to ride the ups and downs. And there are major ups and downs. You're going to have ups and downs personally, with your family, with your friends, with your business associates, and with your company. That's part of life. It's part of running a successful business, any business, whether it's network marketing or anything else. The problem is it's easy in, easy out. It's easy to get into network marketing because in most cases, it's under $1,000 to get started. So most people can rationalize or write off $1,000. But when you have a couple $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million invested in a business and you start running into challenges, it's not as easy to write that off. So you just kind of grin and bear it. Network marketing is no different than any other traditional business. You've got to be committed, you got to build your business not based on what you're feeling, because your emotions are going to go up and down, but build your business based on what you're committed to. And that's really what makes the difference. The difference between people that make it in the business. And I've been on both sides of it. I was the guy that would let my emotions cause me to quit the business. I don't do that anymore. If I'm having a really down day, as difficult as it is, those are the days that I get up and work harder. that'll be a 5 or 10 appointment day when I'm having a really tough day. Now, there are days where I'll take the day off. If I'm having a tough day, you'll know when that is. There's some days you just got to shut everything down and start fresh, but you always start fresh. You know, you don't throw in the towel when things get tough. That's the first thing. The second thing is you just got to learn the mechanics of your business, which you can learn in a day. Most people never even take the time to do that. You got to take responsibility for your business and learn your presentation, and then understand that your business is a reflection of what your calendar looks like. If your calendar is full, your future's bright. Your calendar is full with appointments to show the business to new people, you got a bright future ahead of you. But if your calendar is empty, if you're just showing up on the corporate conference calls or on your team conference call and you're organizing your files every day and getting ready to get ready, you're never going to get there. You got to spend your time showing the business to new people. Think new buds on the tree, growth. You know, when you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. And so you want to be growing all the time. And growing means showing the business to new people and encouraging and teaching your team to do the same. And that would be the second thing that comes to mind. There's a few. The third that I could think of is really taking responsibility for your business and not looking to your upline or your company to do your business for you, or you don't wait for them to do something for you to, because you can take control of your own future by just getting out and exposing the business. It's all about, you know, everything can be solved. All your problems are solved when you expand your business by showing it to new people and helping them get started in the business. Another thing that comes to mind is if you've got a team started, whether you have 3 people on your team, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 or more, at some point you're going to, and I've seen people do this when they have 3 people on their team, and it's the kiss of death. At some point you're going to start to focus on managing your team and trying to help your team. Now, you do need to have the spirit of contribution and giving, and you've got to take the attention off yourself and put the attention on the people in your organization. But the people you need to put your attention on, and this is a tough one for most people, are the people that don't need you, not the people that need you. The people that need you are not going to get you. They're not going to, first of all, they're not going to get themselves or you where you both want to go. When I say they need you, that means that they're using you as an excuse to not build the business. If somebody takes a responsibility for their business and they're willing to do the work, you'll be there to support them and to help them. So and we all have, this is it's a normal human condition of, you know, especially if we're in a situation where we have to succeed, we tend to focus on ourselves. And you cannot be successful focusing on yourself. You have to pour yourself into the businesses of the people in your organization, but you will run into trouble if you find yourself managing your team and trying to do the work for people that aren't willing to do the work for themselves. You need to find the people in your group that are willing to do the work for themselves and then pour fuel on that fire. So look for the organizations or the people in your group that are doing something, that are showing up. In other words, they're on the conference calls, they're coming to the events, they're doing something, and you don't have to prod them or push them to do something. They're going to do it on their own, and they're calling you because they've got questions. They want help. Those are the people you want to help. If you have to chase people, if you have to call them and remind them to show up for everything, think about it. How many people can you really truly motivate at the same time? Really, if you're really good, maybe 3 to 5. But if you want to have hundreds or thousands of people in your organization, you're never going to make it by trying to get your people to work. So find the people that are going to do this anyway, and then work with them to help them introduce it to new people and get new people started. And in other words, go where the action is. Spend your time where the action is. This is one of the biggest, for somebody who has a little bit of a growing organization, even if it's tiny, it's the number one thing that gets in the way of them having big success in the business is that they spend way too much time with the wrong people. And the wrong people are people that are doing nothing, that you're trying to get them to do something. So I'll just tell you a quick example. I signed up a friend who's been watching me for 10 years. She's been watching me for 10 years. She's a very good friend. And I saw her 3 months ago, and she said, you know, Jordan, I've been watching you and I've been getting your cards. And she said, I want to do this. So we signed her up. We signed her up as a marketing distributor with a $400 bundle. And she's all set up in the business. And I trained her for an hour, and she didn't do anything, nothing. And then I contacted her a month later, and I said, let's get on the calendar again. And I scheduled her on the calendar. I trained her for another hour. 2 months later, she's done nothing. Like, when I say nothing, she's not even using our product. Now it's been 3 months, and she's still not using it. She's doing nothing. I scheduled another hour with her to try and get her, but she says she has this block. So there's not much I can do for her. So what I do is I look for the people that are doing something, and those are the people I work with. I want to meet the people they're introducing the business to. I want to go to the events that those people are going to, and because they're going to be at the events anyway, and shake their hands and get to know them and help them introduce the business to new people, do meetings for them, do conference calls for them. That's where I want to spend my time, not with the people that aren't doing anything that I have to push. So that is a really key distinction. So there's a few things for you that I think really can make a huge difference whether you make it in the business or not.
Well, that's awesome advice. And you mentioned the word management, and that is absolutely the kiss of death. There's no doubt about it. But I wanted to, what I started teaching Jordan on that really is to get people to take the word management out of their brain, that we don't manage people at all. We lead, we give example, we guide. And just like you did, you sat down and you guided her and said, this is what we need to do. It's not rocket scientist on how to build this business, but you have to show up, you have to suit up and go out and do the thing, whatever the thing happens to be, and you have to do it consistently over and over again, and you'll grow and develop skill sets. And if you don't have the skill sets today, you'll grow in time by doing them. Just like the first time you walked into a gym, you know, it probably wasn't very good form for anybody that's ever worked out, but over time you start to look pretty good doing it. It's like anything, right. Skills are like that. So you're absolutely right. But there's a message in that is also this is a nuance that is really difficult for some people to get, because when you say you have to serve other people, sometimes people take that to a level on the opposite side of that, where they're doing everything for them. They're, instead of leading or guiding them, they're doing it for them. They're getting the notes for them. They're showing up, they're going to the meetings for them. It's like you want to come to me and you want to, you know, I'm your personal trainer and you want to lose 10 pounds, you want to gain 5 pounds of muscle, but you don't show up at the gym, you don't lift the weights, you don't put the suit on. Well, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to be able to. How could I? Just like you couldn't help that new distributor that was a friend of yours. So let's talk just a little bit about that nuance about, we got to help and guide people, but we also have to determine that it has to be the right person at the right time. And timing is an interesting issue, Jordan, as you know. It's timing in people's lives. And how do you treat those people that aren't ready today? Because many of the people aren't ready today, as you know. And this is a mistake I see all the time in the industry, where people almost make them feel like second-class citizens, like, oh, you're not going to build this with me. What's wrong with you? You're an idiot. You're this, you're that. And you know what I'm talking about. Yep. Whereas you still love them. You let them know that you're there for them, but you allow the fact that their timing isn't right now, and you move on and you continue. And then you work with people. I like what Nathan Rick said from New Skin. You work with people that are at 12 o'clock. Whatever 12 o'clock is means that they're ready, and they're ready to take action, like you have when you came in the Excel back in 1992. So let's cover that a little bit, and then let's talk a little bit about how the internet and social media has affected your business here moving forward, and what your thoughts are on that.
So I apologize. First of all, the sun is going down and my face is getting darker and darker by the minute, but hopefully you can still hear me okay.
I can see you fine.
Oh, okay, and I'm still here with you. So first thing is, how do you know? The first thing is, I look for people that are calling me, and you want to look for people that are calling you, and that may only be 1 out of 10 people that you sponsor. The second thing I look for is people that are showing up, meaning that they're on the conference calls, they're showing up for the meetings, and you don't have to remind them. They're showing up for, they booked themselves for convention, and you didn't have to call them and remind them. They just did it because they know it's happening, because they see the emails and they are on the conference calls. The third thing is they're doing something. That means they're showing the business. Now, these people don't come along very often, but when they do, that's where you want to spend your time. So if you've sponsored 4 people and none of them are doing those 3 things, then just sponsor somebody else. Now, what do you do with the others? What you do is you make sure they know what's going on, and that's it. They're all independent distributors. I was in the British Virgin Islands with Donna Johnson and Thomas Tidlin. They've got a beautiful catamaran out there, and we were with a group of people, and And we were with the captain of our little catamaran and his wife, and they would cook us tropical dinners every night, and we'd hang out on the beach and have great chats and talk about network marketing and life and just laugh and have fun. And, you know, at the end of the night, I was sitting with the captain and his wife and the little group, and it dawned on me, I wondered, you know, these guys have been sailing for a long time. I asked them, how long have you been sailing? And they said, 28 years. And I said, wow, 28 years. I said, when was the last time you talked to the person that trained you how to sail? And they said, 26 years ago. I go, wait a minute, you haven't talked to the person that taught you how to sail for 26 years, yet you sail every single day? And they said, yeah. And then I looked out on the horizon and I noticed there were somewhere between 200 and 300 sailboats on the horizon. And I wondered to myself, I wonder how many of these people that are out here sailing in the ocean every day, how many of them actually communicate with their trainer on a regular basis? And the answer is probably not too many of them. And then I thought there's probably hundreds of thousands of sailboats in that part of the world, and maybe millions of sailboats all over the world. Some people learn to sail and they'll take their lessons and then they'll never sail again. They don't even own a boat. They get their they get their sailing lessons, and they never even sail again. Some people sail for a year and maybe then meet a partner, they get married, and their spouse doesn't want them to sail anymore, so they quit sailing. Or maybe they don't have time, or maybe they have a kid or whatever. Some people will sail once a month just to go out and enjoy it. Some people will sail for 5 years, and then their boat will run aground and they'll damage their boat and they won't have the money to fix it and they'll never sail again. Some people will sail and become trainers of sailors, and they'll teach people how to sail. And then there's others that will become sailors and they'll sail for the rest of their lives. My job and your job as network marketers are to find people that want to sail, that you don't have to manage them. You don't have to be with. If you tether everybody to your boat, you're never going to be free. If you have to tether every person that you sign up in the business to your boat, you will never be free, and neither will they. Your job is to get them started in the business. That's your job. So for example, when I have Neil and Dorothy call me and they say they're talking to this realtor and they need me to come and help them, then they called me, right? They're doing something. I go and I help them. If Ann calls me and says, I'm doing a presentation for this group of people and I was wondering if you could come in and maybe do it with me, I'm going to go help her. If somebody says, I just showed the business to this person and they are interested and they have questions, I was wondering if you do a three-way call and answer some of their questions. They called me, they're engaged, they're doing something, I'm going to help them. Those are the people I'm going to help. If I have somebody call me and say, Jordan, I really, really want to get this business going, but I don't know what to do. Can we get together for an hour and can you train me? Absolutely. We're going to get together. I'm going to train him. But if I have to chase you, then no, that's not going to be productive for either one of us. Those are the people that you call them, you know, every couple weeks, and they're just, you know, you can't get them to do anything. You're taking 5 steps for every 1 step they're taking. And that won't work if you want to have a big business, a big successful business. So to answer your other question that you asked me about social media, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's take just a couple of minutes because it's real easy today for people to mess up their business moving forward. Years ago when you made a list and you called 4 or 5 people and you hadn't been trained yet, you know, you could deal with that. But today when you push a button on your Facebook and 300, 400, 500 people see that you spammed them, well, you know, that's a little bit different story. So let's talk a little bit about how it affects your business, how you teach it today, how you integrate it into building, because it's predominantly still a belly, you know, relationship-driven business, always has, always will be. But let's talk about how it's affected you, and you know, and the good and the bad of it.
So I'm reading a book right now called Contagious. It's a newer book. I got it at the airport about a week ago, and it's why things or how things catch on. That's the subheading for the book, and it's back. There's 40 pages of research in the back of the book, but it's a very engaging book, and it's lots of stories. And one of the things that they talk about, and they actually give a research study in there, and they give the name of the group that did the research study, but they ask, if you were to ask somebody, what % of business is done as a result of social media and internet versus word of mouth? What % do you think comes from social media? What do you think most people answer to that question? Well, I'll ask you, Tony, what % you think comes from social media and the internet today versus word of mouth? Of business?
I think that word of mouth still absolutely trumps it.
Well, according to most people, Yeah, if you ask most people, if I ask a crowd of people that question, it'll be between, they'll say between 50 and 70% is social media and the internet, because there's so much of it. You know, you click one click and it can go out to thousands and thousands of people. But the research shows, recent research shows that only 7% of business is done as a result of marketing through social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the internet. 7%. 93% comes from word of mouth of all business that's done today, according to the research that's done, this study that's in this book. And so one of the things that I do, I teach this on a regular basis, is don't use, first of all, there's little clues that you can get when you just really pay attention. For example, if you post something on your Facebook wall advertising your business, look at how many likes you get. If you get no likes, or 1 like, or 2 likes, that means people don't like your post. If you're not getting likes, it means they didn't like your post. And what happens, just pay attention. So what happens then is a percentage of people that were your friends will unfriend you because they don't want to be marketed to. But if you put things on your Facebook that are interesting, that are engaging, that are remarkable, where you celebrate your life, a newborn baby, a party that you had, a group of friends that got together and did something fun, congratulating somebody on something, you'll get lots of likes. And that's a clue that people like what you're, so you want to put stuff on your wall that is not marketing, because marketing, people tend to not like that on social media. And it's even in the words, they tend to not like it, meaning they're not liking it. And so what happens is those people that market to their friends, because they're your friends, you're connected, whether you have 50, 100, 500,000 or more, you're connected to those people. They are your friends in that social network. So when you market to them, you're marketing to the same people over and over and over and over and over again. And they don't like that. And they'll go away. And then the opportunity for you to build relationships with those people and find the right people will go away. So what I teach people to do is celebrate your life, celebrate the lives of others on social media, including Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook. If you're going to do any marketing at all on there so people know what you do, maybe 1 out of 30 posts, maybe 1 out of 30 or 1 out of 50, where you put something out there so they know what you're doing. Or if you're, celebrating someone's promotion in your company, you can do it kind of indirectly. Just don't market don't say, hey, we're having a sale. Don't say, hey, if you come to me, I'll throw in an extra wrap if you buy 5 from me. That kind of stuff. Or those kinds of things turn people off and they go away. So that's, one of the, and then also understand that there's never anything that will replace one person telling another person, try this or take a look at this. There's just, when you say to somebody, I want to show you something. I want to show you a video that I think could have some really positive impact in your life. I don't know. I just like to show it to you and you tell me what you think. People look for sophisticated technologies and sophisticated scripts to build the business. And, I found that the simpler it is and the less you say, the more effective it is. I've built my business, and this is the honest to God truth. I'm not a huge script person. I've built my business saying to people, I want to show you something that I really think is cool and could be something that you'd be interested in. I don't know. I'd like to show it to you and see what you think. That's it. That's my approach. I'm very authentic, and I just then look for the people that say yes to that. And we sit down and I ask them for 30 minutes of their time uninterrupted to show them something. But I focus on the relationship. I focus on connecting with them on a personal level. Because if you approach somebody that you don't have a relationship with, or it's a weak relationship, then they will resist you. But if you approach somebody that you've got a good connection with, then they'll be open. And so part of that is respecting the relationship, not pushing, being a good listener, all those kinds of things.
Asking great questions. You made a really good point. That book, Contagion, I've heard of it. The name of it kind of catches you. Because
Contagious.
Contagious, right? Contagious. I've heard of it, but I've not read it. Now, this is an interesting example now that you've broken it down because it's come from advice, from a trusted friend in as yourself.
Right.
That's what I'm going to go out and buy.
Well,
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I told you we were friends, and I told you about this book, and you'd heard of it before, but now that we're talking about it, right?
That's right.
So think about this for just a minute. Uber.
Yep.
Uber's worth, I don't know, 30. I don't know what they're worth. Probably, they could be worth even $80 billion. I don't know. It's a lot. It's billions and billions and billions of dollars. Ask yourself, how did you hear about Uber for the first time? And if you ask, I've done this in crowds of 300, 400 people. How many of you heard of Uber because somebody told you about it? Everybody raises their hand. Nobody heard about Uber because they saw it on the internet, or they heard about Uber because they saw a billboard or heard a radio ad. It was because one person said to another person, you should try Uber, and you should load the Uber app. That's how they heard about it. And most businesses that are growing today, that's how they're growing. And the advertising dollars that are being spent through traditional media like television and billboards, it's not working like it did before. There's branding things that you can do online. People see branding online, but in terms of actually moving the needle and causing people to take action and do business, it's word of mouth. That's where it's happening. A good movie, word of mouth. And so that's really where I choose in my businesses to place my focus. That's where my focus is getting people to talk about the business, like from one friend to another, meeting new people and sharing it. That's really where it's at. So you either have building a successful business, any business, whether it's network marketing or thing, is either you have a network or you're going to build a network. Every business, you either have a network or you're going to build a network. Some people get into network marketing and their business explodes. Why does it explode? It's not because they built a network. It's because they had a network. So when you join a company and you already have a network, you've got hundreds or even thousands of people you can go talk to because you already have a network of people that trust you. You have lots of people to talk to. Well, in my first company, after being in 11 companies in 10 years, I'd never signed up a single person. I didn't have a network. So I had to build a network. And how did I do that? 3 appointments a week. Some of you, I recommend at least 1 appointment a day if you're working part-time, and 3 to 5 appointments a day if you're working full-time. But you have to build your network, and that's part of building those relationships over time and finding the right people that it's a good fit for them to be doing the business with you. And then once you've built a network, your security is not in your network marketing company. We would like to believe that our network marketing companies will be around forever, and maybe yours will be. But what if it's not? Well, if you build relationships and build your network of people and take care of those people, meaning that you respect them, you stay in touch with them, you look for ways that you can add value, all those kinds of things. When you take care of that network, if anything ever happens to your company, you've got people that you can go to and say, hey, I've got something I want to show you. And they're going to say, sure, what do you got? So the first time around, I had to build my network. Then when I joined the company I'm with now, I already had a network of people. Some of them were in my business and some weren't. But I already had a network of people that I could go to. So it was very quick. Now imagine this. You have the ability to sponsor or recruit people that already have networks. So you may not have a network, but if you can find somebody who has a network, your business is going to grow really fast. What if you find 3 people that have very large networks, and you, over the next 3 years, you find 3 people that have very large networks that you bring into your company that decide they're going to build it, and they build a large organization, you win and they win. So just because you don't have a network yet, you're going to build your network, you're going to get to know lots of people. Just because you don't have, that doesn't mean you can't go fast. It just means you have to find people that already have a network.
I remember, Jordan, having that excuse in the very beginning of my career and saying to my sponsor, listen, I can't do this. I don't know anybody. And he goes,
Right.
Tony, that's fine. You just find somebody who knows somebody. I was like, oh, simple concept. And he says, but, I don't know anybody who has money. Well, that's simple, Tony. Just find somebody who has a little bit of money.
Exactly.
That's fine. You can find them. So it's not, he took every excuse I had. Eventually I had to build a business, Jordan. I had no choice.
Right. So Tony, I just want to let you know my juice is at about 23% right now.
Well,
I'll give you a heads up.
Your juice is always over 23%, my friend. Well, I know this whole magazine this month is towards women. So maybe we could take a few minutes and you can share a couple of stories. And, I love working with women in this profession. There's a lot of reasons why it is a little challenging because they run families. They usually take care of their husbands, their children, and, if they're married, of course, and they're multitaskers, but they're great people to have an understanding of building relationships. And you had mentioned the relationship thing in last month's issue of, I should say this current month's issue of the Network Marketing Magazine. I wrote an article on relationships and how people don't want to be considered a marketer, or they don't want to, they don't want to drive traffic. They don't want to be put in a funnel. I mean, who likes traffic? Who wants to be put in a funnel, Jordan, right?
Right.
And so I would encourage anybody who hasn't read that article to read it, because as you said, I didn't know the number. I knew the majority of people, though, still would do business based on the recommendation of a trusted person. So you got to get to know them, they got to get to like you, and then they got to get to trust you. And then at that point, they're going to be open to either a product idea you may have or a business opportunity you may have. That does not change, as you put it, even with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It doesn't matter what the social media window is. That lesson from the book that you mentioned, and I'm going to recommend that everybody get that. I'm going to get it tomorrow, and I'm going to start, because I mean, that is awesome. 7% comes from social media. With all the stuff we see out there on our phones today and everything, 7%. That is some of the most valuable advice that I have ever heard. But let's talk a little bit about women, maybe a couple of stories that you may have here as we're closing down on this wonderful interview, yeah. Jordan. I really appreciate it.
Well, for one thing, women are way better at network marketing than men.
I agree.
They are. They're way better at it. They've got the skill set coming into it, probably because they're, for the most part, they're nurturers, but they care about people. They want the people that they bring into the business. They really, truly want those people to succeed. And so they tend to they know what kind of attention and time to give to people and when to give it to people. So I'm just going to share a couple stories with you. Judy O'Higgins, I've known her for years. She lives in a small town in Arizona. She was a family counselor, and for many, many years, but she was getting more depressed than her clients, because for so many years she was having to hear the problems, the serious problems and issues of her clients, and it wore on her after a while. And she got involved in network marketing about 12 years ago, and has built from her little town, which has spread to 5 countries now, her organization. She's got thousands of distributors in her organization, and her husband has gotten very ill. And at this point in her life, finding a job would be very difficult for her. And she was able to remove herself from a profession that had, for her, gotten quite tired. And she's an amazing leader, and she's got a team primarily of women that many of them are in the same situation that she's been in the past. And she's built just an amazing residual income stream from her little town up in the mountains of Arizona. There's a woman we have up in Canada. Her name is Melissa Barlock. She's a mom. She's got 2 young kids, and she's got her kids very involved in the business. Young as in, like, I think her daughter is 7 and her son is 9. Her husband is pretty much a stay-at-home dad, and she builds the business, and she is an amazing business builder. One of the best that I've ever seen. And she has get-togethers at her home, and she has get-togethers at the homes of other moms that are wanting to stay home and raise their own kids versus sending them to childcare. And but the stories are endless. I was invited by Sarah Robbins, who's a close friend of mine. When I met Sarah, she was 20. Her mom was at the meeting. They were sitting in the front row of a generic network marketing event, and neither of them had ever built a network marketing business, and they took notes. And Sarah went on to build one of the largest network marketing organizations in all of network marketing. She just spoke to somewhere in the range of 25,000 people at her company convention. And we're friends, and I was in Chicago, and she was coming through Chicago at the time, and she told me they were going to be doing an event at a restaurant. And I went over there just to say hi and give her a hug and give her husband a hug. And there were 200 women, all women, in the restaurant. And a woman walks over to me in a business suit, and she gets a little choked up as she's talking to me, and she says, Jordan, I want to thank you for beach money. And I go, you're welcome. She goes, no, you don't understand. She goes, I hated network marketing. I was a corporate executive. I rarely saw my kids. And this girl, and she points to this other girl that was standing next to her. She says, this girl right here gave me a copy of Beach Money, and I read it, and it got me excited about a future in network marketing. It changed my mind about network marketing. And I joined the company, and I became the #3 money earner in this company. And now I get to be at home, and I build my business at home, and I can be with my kids all day long when they're around. When they're not in school, I'm here with them. And she was just very grateful. But network marketing gives you options that you can't get in a traditional business or a traditional job where you have to be there. So it opens up a whole lot of things, and it solves a lot of problems for women that do want to be able to raise their own families and be able to create a significant income and have adult communication with adults and not just with kids. So yeah, yeah. So it's a great opportunity for men and a great opportunity for women.
Well, I was on with Nikki Keohoko, the founder, as you know, Nikki from the Direct Selling Women's Alliance. I guess a couple of weeks ago, we had a good conversation. And Nikki, when she started the DSWA, I think she said that there was about 46 or 48% of the network marketing direct selling industry was women. And now, Jordan, I believe she said it was 68%.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's a great equalizer. Women can go out and earn more than men, and usually do, because they, like you said, they're better networkers than men. And so many wonderful women, like our mutual friend Margie Alaprandi. I mean,
yeah.
What an absolute.
And her daughter works with her.
Oh, that is. I mean, they're a great team too. They are.
Yeah.
Her, Ashley, and Margie working together just brings tears to your eyes. A good friend of mine, Donna Farrell from Canada, an amazing woman, single mom, and gosh, there's so many. Lisa Grossman, so many amazing, so many amazing women that are in our profession, and any of them can do that. And so this issue this month is to honor the women in network marketing and direct selling. And the next few minutes that we have, as we're going here, let people know where they can find you too, Jordan, and maybe you can mention a few things. I believe everybody that watches this, if you haven't read Beach Money, you really need to read that book and really need to understand it. It's a book like 4-Year Career, or like Eric Worre's Network Marketing Pro. There's a few books out there that you just have to read. And speaking of Network Marketing Pro, are you a speaker this year at the
I am
December?
A speaker. It's in about 2 weeks. I think it starts on December 1st, and I'm one of the speakers at the event. Richard Branson's going to be there, and Tony Robbins, and 15 other top earners in network marketing. It's phenomenal. I heard it's sold out. I'm sure there's a few tickets you can get through scalpers out there, and I don't know about scalpers, but people that maybe have extra tickets. But right now, the event itself is sold out at somewhere over 20,000 people at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So you can find me at beachmoney.com. So beachmoney.com, there's audiobooks, there's the journal, there's the Beach Money book. 100% of the profits go to charity. And go to kiva.org, as you mentioned. I got to tell you, the thing about Beach Money that has been really amazing is it gives people hope, and hope is the key to motivation. If you ever found yourself in a situation where you're very depressed, the reason you're depressed is because you don't see a future. You don't see a bright future. That's why people get depressed, is they have nothing to look forward to. Network marketing gives somebody something to look forward to. That's why people get excited when they see it. They see a brighter future for themselves and for their family. And so our jobs as entrepreneurs is to plant that seed of hope in others, and then also continue to plant that seed of hope in ourselves. And when you're feeling down, it's like digging deeper to find what is it that you have to look forward to? What is it that you can reinvent for yourself or reframe for yourself so that you can see a future that's better than the future that you have right now? That's what drives people. That's what drives people to take the next step, is knowing that there's a better future. And that's the seed of innovation as well. That's what I would say. And that was the reason for Beach Money. And it continues. There's 500,000 copies out there, and it continues to do its job. Every day I hear stories, and so I encourage you to get a copy of the book if you haven't read it, and share it with some people.
Listen, man, it's you have to have that book. I mean, I don't know anything else to say. It's like the Network Marketing Magazine. We've had some amazing authors on here, and the value is huge for people that want to sign up and actually have access to all of the past issues and shows and everything that's ever been done. That's so valuable to plug into a source of power and hope and inspiration. And who would have ever thought, Jordan, that here you are, you're going to be sharing the stage with Tony Robbins, with Richard Branson. You know, I was listening to Tony Robbins' Personal Power way back. You probably remember that program before really Unlimited Power and everything, kind of get into it. And that's, I think, what inspired me to get into the interview. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people as an advocate in the profession. And honestly, I think that's what drove me. But who would have ever thought you'd be sharing the stage now, you know, being at that same venue and event and speaking, doing that today after all your years. So that just shows you what hope can do, what consistency can do, what focus can do, what commitment can do, what belief can do. Jordan Adler, you are just an amazing servant leader. I am so proud of you. As I talk about you all the time. I use your stories all the time. And I just love the person you are, and you become, and you continue to become proud. And once again, it's been my absolute pleasure to have the opportunity. We're going to be coming back. We're going to have Troy Dooley. We're going to have the founder of another company next month here. We got so much going on. Our hope is bright. Our future is bright. And like I always say, whether you think you can or whether you think you can, you're right. So, hey, you might as well think you can. So this has been an awesome interview. This is Tony Cannuli. I'm the contributing editor, author for the Network Marketing Magazine, and this has been my privilege and pleasure to spend this time with such a great human being and human doing as Jordan Adler. Jordan, thanks again for showing up here today.
Thanks. Appreciate it.